So good morning, everyone, and welcome. And I'm absolutely thrilled today to have the lovely Amy Morris with me. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
And Amy is here today to talk about a topic that we don't really hear about very often. Amy's obviously an avid horse rider herself, but she has a condition called cystic fibrosis. So we're going to talk today about managing horses and lifestyle and things when you've also got something that your body is kind of fighting you with, really, isn't it? It's a better way of putting it. So Amy, tell us a little bit about you and what it is that brings you here to chat with us today.
So my story is I was born with cystic fibrosis, although I didn't know about it until I think I was 4 weeks old. I wasn't putting on any weight. I was really, as my mum said, I tasted very salty, which is sort of the one kind of symptom of having CF. You're very salty. So I was whisked up to the hospital, and they did quite a few tests on me, and they were like, oh, well, she's got cystic fibrosis. There's a few tests you can have. I think the new one is a heel prick test, which I don't know quite a lot about that, but I had the sweat test where you're kind of wrapped like a burrito in foil, and you obviously sweat like as soon as something touches you. And then I think they test your sweat, and I think obviously the blood test as well, and it came back I had cystic fibrosis. So that was a sort of like, oh my god, what happens now kind of thing. So from there we kind of had to kind of think about like the diet I have to be on. I can't digest food at all. My pancreas is pretty much non-existent. It's there, but it doesn't work as well. So for that I have to take Creon, which is basically little capsules filled with enzymes that I swallow, and they break down all the food because obviously I can't, which will help me to sort of take in all the calories, all the energy, and allow me to put weight on. And then I have to obviously do a ton of physio because cystic fibrosis, your lungs are full. Well, they produce lots of thick mucus, and it's continuous. It's not kind of you get it, you clear it, and that's it. It's an everyday situation, and you have to do I have to do a huge amount of physio and a lot of exercise as well just to clear it. And then I have to take lots of inhalers, lots of inhaled medication, tablets. It's just the whole kit caboodle. So it's basically like a full-time job on top of a job I already do. So yeah, I mean, I try and have a normal life. It basically is part of my routine now. I don't really think of it as anything different, but it can get really annoying. But you have to sort of think, if I don't do this, I'll end up in hospital. It can go from you being really well to then suddenly you're in hospital, and it can be really quick. So it's just trying to make sure you kind of keep on top of everything, making sure you have a plan. I mean, I'm not very good with plans. I'm a little bit kind of disorganized, but I try my best. But yeah, it's not only that, but it's keeping a positive mindset that if you do this, you can then go and ride the horse, enjoy seeing your friends, and it'll be okay.
Cool. Okay. Wow. So, I mean, that's quite some condition, isn't it? That's not just something you can take a few pills for. That's like you said.
Oh, no. I mean, there's like other bits and bobs on top of the CF. Like you could get CF related arthritis. I have cystic fibrosis related diabetes. So that was another thing I found out a couple of years ago. Because when your blood sugar is quite high, that's where all the bacteria like to form. So if you're nice and sugary, you'll have lots of bacteria and fungus forming, and it's basically a party for them in there. So I control it using insulin and trying not to eat so much sugary food, which is difficult because our diet it has to be very calorific. So I mean, it's a fun diet. I can literally just go and eat 3 hamburgers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I try not to do that. But yeah, it is full on. It's not just the CF. I mean, there's loads of other things related to it that other people have. I'm very fortunate. I only have the diabetes as well, but it's a full package, I have to say.
Okay, so you don't know any different then, presumably. If you've had that since you were a child, that's just kind of always been your lifestyle, has it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So tell us then about the horse element of it, because, okay, so it's not something you sort of found because of this, is it? It's something that's you've always loved.
Yeah, I mean, my sister and I love riding. We loved horses. And then it was kind of when we were, oh gosh, that was about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. We sort of started to we were around a lot of friends who had ponies, and we were like, oh yeah, we want a pony. And actually it was my sister who really wanted the pony. She was desperate for it. I was kind of like, yeah, I'll kind of join, it sounds fun. And then when we got our first pony, we had to share it. That was sort of the first kind of, oh dear, how's this going to work? Because we both wanted to ride the pony. Poor pony was like, oh God, I've got 2 people wanting to ride me. It was mainly my sister who was always riding, and I was kind of like, do I get to ride? Oh, all right. And then my mum was like, right, this isn't going to work. So we were very fortunate we got another one. So it was hard because we didn't really think a lot about it, but when I was at the age of sort of we were trying to find another one, we were asking the doctors like, oh, well, we're gonna find one for Amy, and they were like, oh well, she can't do all this mucking out, she needs to make sure the horse is clean, everything is clean. We were like, oh, okay, why is this? So the mucking out and being in dusty environments is not great for people with CF. It's like the one thing you shouldn't be near. Because I guess with any animal, there's a lot of bacteria and fungus growing pretty much where they live. I mean, it's not their fault, but it's there, especially in their poo. So mucking out the horse was a definite no-no. So we had to obviously try and find. We were obviously like, well, it needs to be on full livery. We can't have DIY livery. Which I was like, oh, that's fine. I don't have to muck out. Yeah, so it was just trying to find kind of how it could work without me getting ill. So the doctors were very encouraging. They were, oh, it's actually very good cardio, riding the horse, especially for Amy. You just need to make sure you don't then go into the stable and spend lots of time there, especially if they've done their business there. Even just the clean stable, there's all sorts of bacteria, dust particles, and whatever. So I try not to stay in the stable at all. If I am, I'm there for like 2 minutes, if that. Just literally put the horse in or put the head collar on and leave, and that's it.
So your team must be quite important then, surely. So this isn't something you could just kind of do on your own for you then?
Oh no, so now I have to keep the horse on full livery or part livery, something that allows me to I still ride the horse, and I groom them and take care of the tack and whatnot. But yeah, I sort of have, if I look for a yard, I need to make sure the yard is really open. And I've explained to the yard manager, I've got cystic fibrosis. I need to make sure that this happens, and I'm not in the stable, and blah 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 blah. And they are so amazing, these people who look after my horses, that I have no words for how grateful I am, especially in this time when the coronavirus happened, because I keep them in 2 separate yards, which are literally next door-ish to each other, just because one didn't have space and the other one had space. I thought, well, they're only 2 minutes apart. But they looked after them amazingly, and I'm so grateful for them. they understand like the real importance of, you know, keeping everything clean, trying to keep everything dust free. But my trainer, Melissa Smith, is fantastic. She knows, you know, when I'm struggling, because obviously I need to have quite a few rest breaks. So she'll make sure I have rest breaks, and they're all just fantastic people. And I would really struggle if I didn't have a team like that, because I mean, I know some people who could do it on their own with CF, but when you have CF, you really need you need help. I mean, it's hard because you kind of feel like, oh, you know, I should do this on my own. I should be able to do this. But when you've got, you know, a condition that's easily, you know, compromised by viruses or anything else, and, you know, you're literally left on the floor in hospital, you wouldn't have anyone to look after the horse. But I'm so thankful I've got the yard team, my friends, my family, you know, been bending over backwards to help me and support me with the horses and life in general. And I'm so thankful for that.
So what is it, I mean, obvious question to horsey people here, but what is it about horses that means that you do sort of put your health at risk, I suppose, really, by being around them and doing things with them? What is it that means that you do that?
Well, I don't know, because I wasn't sort of, at the beginning, I wasn't kind of like mad, horsey mad. You know, I was sort of into anything, and but only sort of having the horse, you learn to kind of, I don't know, it's just, you feel like they are part of your family. And to be honest, I would do anything for these horses. They allow me to kind of experience normal life. Like, I can go and hack with my friends, and, you know, you just forget all about cystic fibrosis. I mean, sometimes if you're like, oh, I feel a bit breathless, but you can still kind of, you know, wander around, just have fun. It's just so relaxing. And they've done me so much. And you know, when I'm in hospital, I'll have sort of pictures of them on my windowsill, and it sort of motivates me to go, right, if I need to get back in the saddle, I need to work hard to get all this stuff out and get back out there. So they're sort of the great motivators of life, really. I find them really good therapists as well. You know, if you're feeling really down or whatever, just, you know, give them a cuddle. And both of mine are really understanding, because a couple of years ago, my friend, who I never met, but I met over Facebook, and we chatted for many years, passed away. That was 2 years ago, nearly at Christmas. And I was just heartbroken, and I was so upset because I was just started a new job, and I was literally just like a mess, really. And I remember I was hand walking Flora, my big one, and I think I sort of just stopped at one point and just broke down in tears. And I kid you not, I know this sounds a bit cheesy, but this generally happened. She was behind me, and then she walked around me, and I thought, oh, she's gonna walk off now when I'm in tears. And she turned round and just put her head here and just pulled me close. And I was sort of like, oh, is this what they call a hug? Oh my gosh. And then I just hugged her, and it was generally the most magical moments I've had with her, because she is really caring, even though she's a little bit quirky, but she definitely knows when you're upset. And my younger one, Benji, he's a bit of a mummy's boy, so he was generally just like, oh, mummy, oh. But it's lovely to have, you know, animals that, you know, they do generally, I think they do care for you as you care for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your two lovely ponies then.
So I've had Flora, my big mare, for about 4 years. And I was looking for a dressage horse after I loaned a previous trainer's horse. and they moved away, sadly, so we couldn't follow them. But I was hoping to get a small little gelding who knew kind of, what to do and all that. And I was like, oh, look, there's loads of adverts. And we went to see quite a few, and some of them weren't as explained in the advert, and others were too big when we got there. And we went to a few dealers, dressage dealers, and they had very nice horses, but they just sort of, some of them weren't, and some of them were, as we were. I was like, oh, and there were not a lot at the time in the UK. So we were kind of like, I think we saw about 4 or 5, and then just nothing after that. So that was in 2015, I think. So we were looking kind of like November, Christmas, January, and there was just nothing available. So we ended up going with Rebecca Hughes to Holland, which was quite an interesting experience. I've never gone on holiday just to try horses. So literally, as soon as we got off the plane, bam, in the van, driving to the first horse. And I tried 10 horses. Flora was the last one. And she was the tiniest little thing I've ever seen. And she was like just huddled in her stable. And I was like, oh, she's so cute. But we were like, so what? She is a mare. We wanted a gelding though. And they're like, oh yeah, but she's also 5, but she'll learn. And I was like, okay, well, at least she's the correct height. And she was amazing to ride. I mean, I didn't know how to ride the Dutch way. So, but she was just amazing. And I was just like, oh my God, her canter was enormous. I remember just kind of going like, oh, just canter away with me. This is amazing. So she passed her vetting. We chose her after a lot of thinking. So I thought, well, I've had quite a few years with the other one. He was older. He taught me quite a lot. And, Melissa could help me bring her on. I'm sure, it'll be a fun experience. So it's been quite a long process. She's quite quirky in her own way. But then when we got her home, she grew from 16 hands to about 17 one possibly. And yeah, so people were like, oh my God, what are you sitting on? But I've competed her from novice all the way to, we did our first medium last year, which was a huge goal of mine. And it was amazing. It was a fantastic feeling. And then it sort of encouraged me to buy another one. Well, I decided to buy a Connemara because my first pony was a Connemara, and they were just so easy. And I didn't look very long for him. And I think I tried about 4. And I came across Benji's ad, and I was like, oh, well, this one's quite nice. It is a grey though, but I'm sure we'll be fine. And I tried him, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most lovely little guy I've ever seen. And he was very head shy back then. I think they were most of them were quite head shy when I tried them, but I think that's just how they are sometimes when they come over from Ireland. But I generally felt like for the first time since trying them, really safe on him. And that was sort of the thing I needed when I was looking for the horse. I had to sort of be mindful of my CF and go, well, I need something small. So if I did have a tumble, I wouldn't be tumbling from, Mount Everest. But also it needed to be something that, I could put in the field for a couple of weeks if I was unwell, or everyone else could just pop on and ride if I needed to go into hospital. And it needed to be something I trusted. I mean, obviously you can't put your full trust in the horse, but I generally sat on him when I literally could just put my grandma on him. He just feels really safe. And it's taken it's taken quite a few years because he was quite unconfident when I got him. I mean, in hacking, he was just like, yeah, okay, I'll plod along. Traffic goes by, and he's like, I don't care. But he was just very unconfident in himself. So it was really good to kind of, I guess, in a way, get him, because we did loads of work on just relaxing, and we did a lot of work on breathing, which actually is good for me, because working on the breathing is good for the chest. So we would do I would take him into the school sometimes, and we would just walk and do a bit of lunging, and then we would just stop and just breathe, just take a few minutes of breath control and carry on, because he'd obviously never done all this stuff and would just panic. That was what he used to do, just like full blown kind of panic attack. But he's so confident now. He's matured so much, and we've been doing a lot of Claire Gallimore work, and doing that, he's just relaxed so much. But also we do a lot of constant sort of relaxing breathing, because sometimes he will get himself in a bit of a pickle and just kind of go, oh, what's happening? I'm like, it's all right, you breathe. But I'm hoping to do I was hoping to do more competing this year, but obviously that's now out the window. But we do just a bit of everything. We did our first ODs, one-day events last year, which was a huge thing for me, because I last competed in ODE, which was about 5-6 years ago. Beg pardon. And it's quite a full-on process, because you not only have to do the dressage, but the show jumping and cross country. And my worry was that, would I have enough puff to get round all the courses? So I had my amazing mother and sister on guard with Ventolin, water bottles, extra Ventolin in case the one didn't work. So as soon as I sort of went, I remember my mother sort of she said, oh my goodness, there she goes. Will she make it back? Oh God. And then as soon as I came back, I galloped through thinking, oh my God, I've done it. And I had to jump off the horse immediately. And Mum was like, Rick, Ventolin, water. It was amazing. And I did the Coomlands one last year, and then Tweezledown, I think a month later, which was a massive step up for both of us. And we were a bit like, oh, you're a bit kind of a bit of stage fright, because the course was just so technical. And unfortunately, sometimes when I'm jumping, I hold my breath, which doesn't help anyone, especially me. So sometimes I'll sort of finish the course and be like, oh God. Oh. And my mum's like, have you remembered, did you hold your breath again? I'm like, yes, I did. Dang it.
That's so common, though, that people do hold their breath. And this is the bit that really fascinates me then. So we can see how you could maybe do dressage and bits and pieces, not saying that they don't become cardio. My word, they certainly do. And if you ever have a lesson with my trainer, you'll know about it. But, when we think about certainly cross country or show jumping, where your adrenaline's up that little bit more, and so your sort of breath does tend to be shallower and things. How does that kind of work with you with cystic fibrosis and lung function and things like that?
So with the cross country and show jumping, I try to kind of keep a constant breathing rhythm. So if we're galloping, I sort of go, okay, just because, I mean, I have had it, I think it was last year on the Tweezledown, where I started a good rhythm, and then we kind of got round to where it goes up the hill towards the water, and he spooked at something. So that just, the rhythm was out of focus, and because the adrenaline is up, it makes you breathe so much faster. So I had to make sure I was sort of like panicking to kind of go, I'm going to stay on the track and just get back into the rhythm. But of course, that is quite hard, because you've kind of lost it, and the adrenaline is pumping so much that you're breathe. So I had to breathe quite deep to try and get back into it. But I think the cross country takes longer, so it is I have to work quite hard, I think, do really, really good physio the night before and on the day, just try and clear as much as I can. And then sometimes I'll do it kind of throughout the day just to kind of clear even more, so that there's no blockage or anything that comes up during the round. But yeah, it is really important to test lung function, and that's a main kind of unit of measurement for us. So we test it kind of every month or so. I go to clinic. It's not one of my favorite testing equipments, to be honest. I get so panicked about that. It's the build up and then doing it. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. Oh my God. Oh. And I just have it in my head. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it at all. It frightens me. And I've had it. So I think it was I don't do it much anymore, but I used to get so panicked that I would throw up, which is not nice, but that just shows how panicked I would get. And I remember the nurse was like, do you want a sick bowl this time? I'm like, yes, just in case, you may as well put it down. But there is at my clinic, we're very fortunate to have a psychologist. So I've worked quite a lot with her to try and find out why it's frightening, what tools I can use in here to kind of, de-stress and make sure I'm not as worried. And it's kind of the mental mindset going, it is what it is. You can't make it any better. You blow out. It may be a bit horrible. It may not be very good, or it may be absolutely fine. You don't know. And I think because you kind of get that feeling that if it's not good, you're going to go straight into hospital. But you have to also think, like, the doctors are here to help. They're not here to, be horrible. They're doing their job. And then obviously they're not going to be like, well, you need IVs right now, kind of thing. They'll look into different options and go, well, let's try a tablet, or let's try this. Or if it's really bad, they go, well, we think you should really have it. But yeah, it is challenging, I have to say, the lung function bit.
And so you talked about physio and things. Tell us about a normal day for you with riding in it. What would a normal day be like for you to sort of stay on top of it and do something and be able to function?
So a normal day for me is I get up, have to go and take an inhaled medication called DNAs. So that helps the sort of mucus detach from the lungs, so you can easily cough it up. And then I would have to wait an hour, or I think it's half an hour with that one, yeah. And then I would have to do physio, which involves a machine called cough assist. So that kind of forces positive pressure or positive air, sorry, into your lungs, and it also vibrates as well. So it has a very, very long tube, and I lie on the bed and I sort of breathe it in. It literally feels like someone's going with my lungs. So I do that about 8 times, so 8 breaths, and then you have the I've actually got a demonstration, and then use this lovely tool, which is sort of the same thing, but obviously there's no air being forced in, so it's your breath, and it vibrates. It goes. I don't know if you could hear that, but that's the sort of vibrating mechanism. So that kind of helps to get more stuff up vibrating the chest, and then it's the glorious task of coughing it all up into the bin or the tissue, and then repeating it about 4 times on one side, and then switching over to the other side 4 times on that side. And then once that's done, I try and do an exercise. I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to either do Joe Wicks, or my CF exercise physio man has very kindly does live sessions for us. So I try and do that, and that sort of really helps to move much more, and it also gets you fit. And then I try and obviously then have breakfast and whatnot, because you have to obviously check your blood sugars as well. It's another thing, because exercise and physio lowers the blood sugar. So I have to make sure that that's fine before I leave the house, and then I'll leave the house and do the horses. At the moment, I'm only riding one horse, just because we're just trying to make sure the coronavirus doesn't get worse. So it's sort of just seeing how that goes. So with riding, it's kind of, I have to sort of see how I feel on the day. I do sort of make plans for the week and go, okay, we're going to go do this day, and this day, and blah, blah, blah. But it's generally how you feel on the day. So if I'm feeling still quite full in my chest, I will try and do, won't do something that's so kind of really cardio, because it does make me struggle a bit. So I'll either do something on the ground, like we'll do groundwork or a lunge or something, or go for a walk hack. Or if I'm feeling really good, I'll just sort of carry on as ever, do schooling. With the sort of riding, I think I sort of, with the schooling, definitely, I don't kind of go like, well, we're going to do an hour session or 45-minute session, and that's it. I sort of do it based on him and also me. If I'm feeling a bit more tired, we won't do a huge session. If he's feeling tired, we won't do, I think we'll do about 15-20 minutes, which is, it's probably enough for him. We'll work on what we can. If I feel really good, we'll just sort of maybe do half an hour, 45 minutes, if that. But yeah, it's definitely listening to your body. The weather also plays a big part in it as well. If it's too hot, can't ride, because CFers sweat 25% more than everyone else. So if we're sitting in a room and it's quite hot, I will just be a puddle on the floor, because it is just too hot. And if it's too cold, that means that you can pick up bugs really easily. You'll feel ill really easily. So, I mean, I used to be, when I was much younger, just like, oh yeah, I'll ride in the rain, I'll ride in the snow, whatever. Now I'm like, no, because that will make me ill. So it's sort of it's a hard balance to kind of be able to ride when it's not raining. And so I try and ride, if it is raining, I'll try and ride if it's just spitting. I'll just like put coats, jumpers, all sorts on me, so that I'm kept warm. But if it's sort of, I can only ride when it's kind of like 20, 22 degrees, and that's the limit. Because anymore, it's too much for me. So yeah, that's another sort of aspect that affects the riding. Yeah.
So you've got to be like, so what I'm hearing here is you've got to be really disciplined. You've got to really understand why it is you've got to do stuff. So you've always got the bigger picture in mind, but you're able to translate that to the little things you have to do each day. You understand the consequence of if you do them or if you don't do them. You've got to be super flexible in your riding as to whatever the environment is. This is all like top competition rider mindset stuff. Like this really is. And so when it comes to your kind of your riding goals and things as well, then, I mean, where are you at with those? Do you set them? Do you not? Are you just enjoying it? Where are you kind of at with goals? Because you have to be super flexible, don't you?
Well, my goal when I was very young was always like, I'm going to be the first person with CF to ride the Olympics. I really wish that could happen. I think obviously as I've got older, I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I'm not quite there yet. I think I've kind of made goals sort of based on each horse. So with Flora, I was always like, we need to get to Grand Prix, we need to get there. And I've kind of gone like, well, actually, I think if we can I want to actually get to medium, because actually from medium, you have to do a lot of sitting trot, which is great physio, but also it's exhausting, especially on Flora because she's so huge. And I think once we got to medium, I was like, oh my God, I've achieved it finally. Because it's taking a bit longer than we thought, just because either I was ill or Flora's been off and all that. So I'm hoping we can, maybe we get to advanced with her.
Maybe tails? Would tails be a thing? So many people want tails, don't they?
Try and get the top hat and tails out. I'll look a bit like a weirdo on that. With Benji, it's kind of just like trying to I don't know really. I think just like have fun with him, but also try and just do as much as we can. I'm hoping to maybe in the future do some B with him if I can afford it, or BD. I'd like to. My aim for him, definitely one aim, is to qualify for the pet plan with him. I'll have to look into that because I don't know what my BD points are and if I can do that with him. But I'd like to try that because he's pretty good at his little dressage. So Flora need to look out. But definitely to do a lot more like eventing with him because he's really good at that. He loves his jumping, loves his cross country, and just sort of just do new experiences. Like we've kind of accomplished quite a lot of small goals I never thought I'd do. Like I did, we tried Western on him. We tried Trek. I was like, oh, that's new. And then obviously we did our ODEs, one day eventing, which I never thought we would, I'd ever do again. So it is nice. It is nice to have those goals.
And how do you stay motivated then? Because I could quite easily see how it'd be easy just to kind of go, well, do you know what, this is really hard work. It's all the risks that you said come with riding, and things like that. How do you stay motivated and driven to do what you do? And you don't just go, not that there's anything wrong with hacking. Of course, it's fine to just say, I'll hack. But you don't do that, do you? You're looking to, one day event and British dressage and all these kind of things. So what is it that makes you stay motivated to do that then, even with so much adversity?
I think I was sort of speaking with a friend about this when I did an interview for CF month, and it was we're generally quite positive. I think because we know that we have our limitations and we know kind of where our CF could lead. So I think we're just kind of, I'm very much like, I know exactly, I could end up having a transplant or, I could end up somewhere else. It's just generally enjoy life, enjoy life now, make as many friends as possible and just be happy. Yes, you have to do these annoying things, but, it doesn't stop you from then enjoying the rest of the day. I think if you sort of focus negatively on, oh, I've got CF, oh, the world is ending, oh, poo for me, like it doesn't get you anywhere and actually makes you feel worse. So if you can, if you want to sort of be well, you have to sort of look at it on positive terms and, kind of go, yes, I know I've got this horrible condition, but I'm not letting that stop me from enjoying myself and being with my friends and family.
So it sounds like it makes no difference whether you've got a condition or not then, if you focus on the positives. And actually everyone's got adversity in some way or another, and it's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative. You've never known anything else. This has just always been life. Whereas other people, there's other things that come and go but if you focus on the negative and you just look for the fun and the enjoyment and things, and that keeps you motivated to go forward. So you mentioned CF month, so tell us a little bit more about what that's about.
So CF month is May, which is the whole month, the whole month. And the CF Trust does quite a lot of promotion of awareness of it, and they do encourage us to kind of, do a lot more fundraising and spread awareness of our condition. So yeah, this year I thought it was very important to try and spread more awareness because of COVID as to why we're the more susceptible people, to get this virus. And if we got it, then, we would be extremely ill. So throughout the month, or the last sort of week of the month, I got together 3 ladies who, 2 of them I had only met through, well, I've met them all through like social media. So the thing with CF is that we can never meet. We can't be within a few feet of each other because the risk of cross-infection. So, we are basically socially distancing from each other for life. So we have to remain like at least 4 meters away, if that. So I'd never met these ladies in person, and I interviewed them to show that there are different forms of CF and how differently people cope with the CF, and all about. And it was we focused on exercise, raising a family, and of course transplants and horses. And it was amazing to kind of meet them all in the flesh, really. I was like, is this what others look like? My blimey. But yeah, I mean, that was a great success, and it was just to kind of show people like, there's a bit more to CF than just, oh, it's crappy lungs and that's it. And then there's also CF Week, which is starting from the 15th of June all the way to the 21st, I think. So we're hoping to do something very special in that week, or the beginning of the week, which I can't reveal just yet. It will be on my Instagram page, but I'm really excited for it. So that's another week to just show more awareness and support of it. And in that week, we all wear yellow, as that's the colour of CF. So yeah, we all try and do as much fundraising and awareness as we can to show our support for it.
Cool. So if people want to sort of support it and things, how can they do that?
So I would suggest going to the CF Trust Facebook page or their Instagram page, and they have a ton of information about what CF is, how we deal with it, other ways you can support it, and it is chock-a-block full of information. And they are always happy to help. They're always on the phone if you need to speak to them about anything. I mean, there's loads of like other. I was just also looking at different CF sufferers on Instagram or Facebook. If you search for them, they're everywhere, and they're fantastic to follow. I would recommend my good friends Nim, who I met recently face to face for the first time, and Morwenna Foster, who I also met for the first time. I've spoke to them. I think it's been to Morwenna for about 5-6 years on Facebook. Nim for about a year. The fantastic ladies, definitely follow them. Morwenna has had a transplant, but she went to badminton grassroots championships, which was unbelievable. And then also Sophie Grace Holmes, who is a massive inspiration to all CF. I mean, that's the thing, we all look like we don't have it, but we do have it. And she is an exercise fanatic. So definitely go and follow her. And there's just loads of us all around. They do a lot of, some of them do vlogging, some of them do all sorts of things. So yeah, definitely go and show your support to them on their Instagram page or Facebook page, as well as the CF Trust on their website as well.
Cool. Okay, so we want to look out on your Instagram from the 15th or before, because I'm sure you'll tell us about some bits before. What's your Instagram, Amy?
It's AM Dressage.
AM Dressage. And obviously your Facebook page we've tagged as well, which is Amy Dressage and Eventing, is that right? Or is it AM?
Yeah, I think it's AM. I probably should change the name because it's quite long. I just wanted to combine both my Dressage and Eventing, and thought that's quite long. But it's AM Dressage and Eventing.
Cool. Okay, so if anyone wants to get hold of you or ask you any questions or anything, they can do it through there.
Yeah, definitely.
Super. And is there anything you wanted to say or cover before we kind of wrap up for today?
I think, this to all those people, it's not, the condition is life limiting, but that doesn't mean that it's the end. You always need to focus on yourself and the future. Don't let this ever hold you back, because if you do, it will, and you won't be able to enjoy, all the love and kindness and things out there. So definitely just think positive. That's sort of what I do that every day, even if I'm feeling a bit kind of like, I'm not feeling great today. Always find something positive to think about, or go and speak to someone. That's what I've sort of learned what to do. If I'm feeling a bit anxious or a bit sad and depressed, I'll go and speak to my mum or speak to my sister or just speak to a friend, because they understand what you're going through and they're here to help.
That's amazing, thank you. And I think, yeah, absolutely, CF is like you say, a life-limiting disease. It's something that needs to be taken seriously, but there's also lots of other things in life that people find difficult, and it's the same. It's that idea of find something positive, reach out, speak to someone. I mean, the Dream It, Do It, Love It Lounge that this is currently live in is a place where people can ask questions about anything to do with mindset or anything to do with riding, really. And people post all sorts of stuff in there. And that's a place where people can ask questions about riding or just mental health generally and things as well. And so I think what's been amazing chatting to you, Amy, is that you've shown that even with something that, has proper implications on your life, that your morning routine is like, people talk about morning routines. I've never heard of one quite like that. I think even with that and what have you, you've shown that you can stay positive, you can focus on things, you can find the motivation to do stuff, and that actually that's what life's about, isn't it? You make that choice as to what you focus on, because whatever you focus on grows. So thank you so much, Amy. It's been absolutely lovely to hear what you have to say and hear your fascinating journey and story about your lovely ponies.
Thank you very much. I hope I can entertain as well as teach.
It's been very, very interesting. So thank you ever so much. And this will obviously be on the Facebook page and on the podcast as well. So we'll let you know when that's available. So thanks very much, guys, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.